Hello. That's right. We're back. It's The Shaun Show. Episode 43. Here we are. Been away for a bit. Just been dealing with a little bit of numbness. So I've been trying to figure that out. But got a little bit of a long one today. So let's start to get into it. Yes, championship all happened a week ago. Yes, it did turn out as expected. Unfortunately, but that's fine. You know, Chiefs versus Eagles. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be exciting. Let's hit the agenda really very quickly. All right, so we've got some quick news. It's very quick news, as everybody would have probably heard in the world by now. Luka Doncic in the NBA at Dallas Mavericks has been traded to Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and some spare change on either side. I believe it was a 3-team trade with the Utah Jazz as well. I don't know the full details. I don't care that much. Everybody says it's a bad move by the Mavs, and you can kind of see why. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Team wins, then all wounds are healed. But the team would want to win for the next 10 years. Anyway. Other news, a little bit of coaching news. So today we're going to be focusing mainly on coaching news, mainly head coaching hires and everything. But there is something that I did just see. So the Raiders hiring former Eagles 49ers head coach Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. He will be joining Pete Carroll. We'll do a little bit of a dive into that situation very shortly once we get into the head coaching news. As you can see on the agenda, there was just that I wanted to talk about, and then I also did see this that Jets expected to hire Seahawks Charles London as quarterbacks coach to go with the new Jets head coaching hire over there in the Factory of Sadness 2.0. All right. Anyway, let's get straight into this coaching news business. Like I said last time I was on, I wanted to go over situations. I wanted to go over these head coaching situations and see, are these guys, going to a good place? Are they going to a bad place? Is it good for them? Is it bad for them? Let's find out. Let us find out right now. So the first team that I want to talk about, let me get rid of this, the agenda just in the way. Graphics team has made up some absolutely beautiful graphics for us today. So let's utilize them to their fullest. First head coach hire of the year, and the first one that we're going to talk about is Mike Vrabel going to the New England Patriots. Now, I believe he was a player for the Patriots. Maybe got a Super Bowl with them. We'll have a look at that. But yeah, everybody's talking about a very good hire after the succession plan of Gerard Mayo after Bill Belichick did not pan out after 1 year. But let's get into it. All right, so we've got head coach Mike Vrabel of the Patriots. We got a little bit of his history here. Let's go down to the player first. 3-time Super Bowl champion. He was a Pro Bowler and a first-team All-Pro. This guy knows what he's talking about. He's played it. He knows exactly what's going on the field. And if a player is a coach, players will probably respect that coach a bit more if they don't have all the accolades of a coach that has won Super Bowls and conference championships, etc. But let's go into his coaching history right now. As you can see, all right, Houston Texans D-line coach from 2014 to 2016, Houston Texans defensive coordinator in 2017, and then he got that job with the Tennessee Titans, where Ryan Tannehill was his quarterback and Derrick Henry was his running back. 2018 to 2023, he got 5 years in. The last couple of years, they didn't pan out so well. And then, obviously, they traded Derrick Henry in 2024 after Mike Vrabel was no longer the head coach. So in 2019, they went to the playoffs. They were the 6th seed. They went to the championship game. He took them, the Titans, all the way to the championship game, one before the Super Bowl. In 2020, his third year there, he won the AFC South. And in the 2021 playoffs, they were the first seed. Obviously, won the AFC South in that fashion to become first seed, and he was voted the AP Coach of the Year. After his tenure with the Tennessee Titans ended, he was a Cleveland Browns consultant for this year. Now let's talk about the team that he's going to, the Patriots. What's their current situation? Patriots GM Elliott Wolf, I believe he's been there for a while. I did have a little more of the stats all set up for today, but I kind of just flubbed it since that was about a week ago. Let me get some quick stats up on Elliott Wolf while we go over the state of the team. So right now for 2025, they've got $120 million in cap space. That's good. That's pretty good. As you can see down in the 2025 draft section with the 4th overall pick, the biggest needs are offensive tackles, inside offensive linemen, wide receiver, edge, and cornerbacks. So look at them to either draft or sign some offensive linemen, depending on what they get in the draft. They are 4th. They don't need a quarterback. They've got Drake May. But yeah, this doesn't look like a terrible situation to go to. Let's have a look at their ranking. So Pro Football Focus rank their offensive line as 32nd, dead last in the league. So again, they will need to shore that up, probably by draft and signing. You never know. And their offense ranked 30th. Hard to have a high ranked offense when your offensive line is ranked last in the league. And they had the 22nd ranked defense. So kind of, you know, not really middle of the pack, but the middle of the pack can be fairly tight. So a few adjustments there can shoot them up a little bit. Mike Vrabel was a defensive player and a defensive coach. So look at that to influence a little bit. Hopefully make a step up from that 22nd. He did some really interesting things in Tennessee as well to get them going as well. So just look for a general uptick from this team with Mike Vrabel at the helm. Let's go over Elliott Wolf for a little bit. Looks like he's been in the league as a staff member since 2004, starting as a personal assistant in Green Bay. And as he moved down the line with Green Bay, he ended up as the director of personnel, player personnel, and the director of football operations, and that was in 2016-2017. In 2018, he was the assistant general manager for the Cleveland Browns, 2018 and 2019. And then in 2020, he moved to the New England Patriots to be their consultant, and then the director of scouting, and now the executive vice president of player personnel. This is his second year in the role. He moved up in 2024 from director of scouting. So we'll see what Elliott Wolf has got up his sleeve for the New England Patriots, and that $120 million in cap space. Moving on to their draft. So in 2023 and 2024, they had 2 first-round picks. They drafted DB Christian Gonzalez in 2023, and he was a standout corner for them, absolutely locked down all season. And this year, obviously, they drafted Drake May, the future of the program. And as we said before, their biggest needs are going to be the offensive line, maybe a weapon or two, and an edge rusher to get some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Let's have a skip over really quickly to their depth chart before I go over to ownership. Alright, so here's the depth chart. Drake May at quarterback, Jacoby Brissett second, and then Joe Milton the third, Bazooka Joe. If he has to step in, he can win games. That dude's electric. We've only seen a little bit of him last season in preseason, and I think maybe a tiny bit in season, but yeah, that guy is a good get as well. They've got Ramondre Stevenson at running back. Very good running back. He did quite well this season. I don't really have the stats, but Ramondre Stevenson got some touchdowns. Then receivers, we've got Demario Douglas, Keishon Butte, and Kendrick Bourne. These aren't really household names. I can't tell you much about these guys, but I can tell you that Hunter Henry is a dog. I can tell you that. This offensive line is very likely not good, ranked 32nd in the league. No names stand out to me except for Strange, but I think Strange is a different Strange that I'm thinking of. They did have some injuries as well this season, so that could have messed up a couple of things up. And then on the defense, I'm never really going to know the New England Patriots defensive names except for Christian Gonzalez right now. And yeah, I don't know any of these guys. Not the greatest ranked defense, so that's what you have, and that's what you get. But now let's go over to the ownership. Robert Kraft. Mr. Robert Kraft. He's been the owner of the New England Patriots since 1994. He's a 6-time Super Bowl champion, a 10-time AFC Conference champion, a 19-time AFC East champion, and he is only on his 5th head coach since 2020. Since 1994, that is 30 years, and you've only gone through 5 head coaches. That is nice. That is very nice. Obviously, Bill Belichick was the coach for a very long time. I don't know why I've got 2020 there. That should not be 2020. Let me get that head coaching up. Bill Belichick. 2020 to 2023. What is that shit? Definitely not. Definitely not only 4 years in the league. So he was a... Oh... Yeah, well... No, 2000. It was 2000 to 2023. What the fuck did I do there? Anyway, so in the past 5 seasons, he's only had 2 head coaches, not including variables. So Gerard Mayo was supposed to be the succession plan from Bill Belichick 2000 to 2023. The graphic is incorrect. Graphics department absolutely flubbed that one. I'm sorry, viewers. I will give them a whipping. I will whip that graphics department a new one. But yeah, so he's had some pretty good luck in his tenure with the head coaches, I gotta say, after picking up Bill Belichick. This guy knows what it is to win. He knows what it looks like. He should be able to understand if Mike Vrabel is instilling the correct culture in the team. And he will be able to see if the players are responding to Mike Vrabel in the way that a winner does. They've still got a long way to go. Their roster isn't amazing, so I can see an uptick. My bet might take 2-3 years to really get back into serious contention. But yeah, this Patriots situation, I gotta say, it looks good. It looks a bit brighter than some of the other ones that we are going to look at. Alrighty, so what's the next one that we're going to talk about? I think we will talk about the Jags. Let's go talk about the Jags. Let us talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, interesting situation with the Jags. I'm just getting my pages all sorted out. Interesting situation with the Jags. They just removed their GM. They just removed their GM. I need to get another window up. I do apologize about the absolutely sad situation that this live podcast show broadcast, not a broadcast, is going through at this absolute moment. And I do apologize about that. So let me just sort everything out very, very quickly for you, because we're going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jags, their owner Shahid Khan, and the situation that has arisen, or that was going on. So we're going to talk about the head coach. Liam Cohen was previously the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and there he is right there in his Tampa Bay gear. What a lad. Look at that lad. So he had a back and forth with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He interviewed with the Jags, and then he said, "No, I'm gonna commit to Tampa Bay as the offensive coordinator. I'm gonna stay there." And then the Jags, he hadn't signed a contract yet with Tampa Bay, and then the Jags fired the GM, and then Cohen went and accepted the job for Jags head coach. So that was an interesting situation there. And in his Duval press conference, he did not say that was the reason, but you kind of can't do that. So classy step for him right there. Did look like a bit of a goober. Everybody's been talking about it. This is old news. But let's go over the Jackson Jaguars current situation. All right, so Liam Cohen, as you can see his coaching history there, he was an assistant wide receiver coach with the LA Rams for 2 years, then became the assistant quarterbacks coach, and then he moved over to Kentucky Wildcats for 1 year as their offensive coordinator, came back to the Rams, and then went back to Kentucky Wildcats, and then became the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator. So let's have a little bit of a chat about last season. Tampa Bay did win the NFC South with him as offensive coordinator. They were the number 4 scoring offense in the league under Liam Cohen. And they had the number 3 total offensive yardage under this man as well. So that is a very quick rise to a head coaching position. I didn't look at the stats for Los Angeles and Kentucky Wildcats. I don't think Los Angeles did great in 2022. Which is why he maybe moved away. I can't remember. I just remember seeing an anomaly in this like statistical grounds that the graphics team has built up. So yeah, I don't know if what the flip-flopping is all about, going back and forth. The situations are situational, as we know, but he did pretty good with Tampa Bay this season. Now let's go and look at the GM. Guess what? There's no GM. That's right. He got fired. The role is vacant. Shahid Khan, the owner, did say that they want to fill the GM job by the end of February. So keep an eye out for that. They're going to need to get someone in there pretty soon because the combine will be coming up, and they need to get eyes on people and understand what Cohen wants, understand what Shahid wants from the team, and just have a cohesive scouting situation for the combine. State of the team. They have $35 million cap space. Not too bad. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. Probably rework some contracts maybe. To try and get something on the way up. Now, this offensive number is a bit iffy because Trevor Lawrence missed a lot of this season, I feel. The quarterback situation is sorted. They've got Trevor Lawrence for 5 years until the end of the 2028 season. The offensive line by Pro Football Focus was ranked 17th, so that's not too shabby. You can work on that with $35 million. They had the 26th ranked offense again with Trevor Lawrence not at the helm. It's hard to judge. Mac Jones was the quarterback for the end of the season. There's no point risking Trevor Lawrence after that big concussion. When you have meaningless football, you're not in the running for the playoffs, so don't risk your guy. Just don't do it. See what you've got in Mac. Is he a good backup? Can you get some money for him? Let him show out a little bit. He did ruin on 1 or 2 of my bets, so there's something. And then they had the 28th ranked defense. Yikes, that's not good to see. If we go down to their 2025 draft, we can see that they need a cornerback, a safety, a wide receiver, inside offensive line, and for some reason it said quarterback, so that's why I put a question mark there. This was straight from the NFL site, so I don't know why it says quarterback there. You just signed Trevor Lawrence to 5 years. You've got Mac Jones as a backup. Again, you're probably shopping him. So if they get a quarterback, it will be like 3rd round or something. It's not something that they need to waste a 1st round pick on. They do have the 5th overall pick after New England. So we'll see what happens right there. The last 2 drafts in 2023, they drafted defensive lineman Anton Harrison, and they also drafted Brian Thompson Jr. in the 1st round of the 2024 draft. ownership side of things. So Shahid Khan, he has been the Jaguars owner since 2012. He has had 0 Super Bowl appearance. He's had 1 conference champion appearance. And he is a 2 times AFC South champion. He's on his 6th head coach since 2012. And like I said, these anomalies are going to start getting... You're going to see some owners can't find a good head coach, unlike Robert Kraft was able to, but I think they're good with Mike Vrabel. Back to the Jags, though. So the 6 head coaches in his tenure as the owner in the past 5 seasons, he had Doug Marrone, 2016 to 2020, and then Urban Meyer. That was a disaster. Not sure why you'd even let that guy run a building with all of the controversy that he brings up. And then Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was not happy there for some reason. It could have been because of the GM, honestly. It could have been because of the GM. But that situation's gone. Hopefully they find someone good. Jags can be a great team. They can be. Oh, with Trevor Lawrence at the helm. Should we look at their roster? I'm not gonna bother. They got some good defensive players. Arik Armstead, Trayvon Walker, Darnell Savage, Josh Hines Allen. They've got some alright players. They could shore up on the defense, of course. Let's just go back to this one right here. But yeah, they can definitely shore up right there. Is it a good situation for Liam Cohen to go into? I think so. You get to have a say on who your GM is going to be. You get to talk about that with the owner. You've got a quarterback signed for 5 years. You've got a roster that can win. It just needs a little bit of improving. I think this is an alright situation. This can be a desirable job. I think it's a good one. I do think this is a good place to go. So let's move on. The next place that we want to talk about is Dallas. We want to talk about Dallas Cowboys. That's right. Mike McCarthy did not happen to work out for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. So a change has been made. A change has been made. Brian Schottenheimer has been hired. He's got a bit of a history in the league. Has been with the Dallas Cowboys since 2022. Let's have a quick look at his run. Rams assistant, he was a QB coach, and then he was a QB coach again. Offensive coordinator with the Jets, offensive coordinator with the Rams, Georgia offensive coordinator, Colts quarterback coach, Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator, Jags pass analyst, and then OC for 2 years with the Dallas Cowboys after Kellen Moore moved on to Philadelphia. A little bit of his time as the OC. Can't say too much about 2024 as Dak didn't play a lot of it, so you can't judge a whole lot there. But in 2023, they had the #1 scoring offense under this man, and they had top 5 total offensive yardage under Brian Schottenheimer. You can see from his history that he might be a little bit of a QB whisperer. He knows how to make a good offense. If Dak is healthy, that guy can play MVP football. So we'll see what happens here. Now we'll go over to the situation of the team. Cowboys GM, Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, taking hold of the freaking team that he spends his life on. Obviously, if you own a team, you will have some say, but you at least have to fucking be good at what you do. Either way, is this a good job? I mean, you are over the cap by $285,000. That should be easy to kind of fix up. That's not a whole lot of money. Honestly, that could be just like a couple of mid-level players just gone, and then you're clear, and then you got to figure out what you're going to do. In the quarterback situation, Dak has been signed for 4 years from 2024 to 2027. So your situation is fine as long as he can stay healthy. One good thing about having the owner as the GM, and particularly Jerry Jones, is that if he wants somebody, he will try to go and get somebody. The issue will be giving them money, because he seems to think that the any job on the Cowboys is the God's gift to fucking work or some shit, and that everybody just wants to go there, but not everybody wants to go there. You are in Texas, so I do believe that's a good state for tax, etc., which can play a role in player signings and stuff. But yeah, that's one good thing about having the owner as the GM, is that if he sees something and he wants to spend money, he'll just go and do it. If he wants to spend money. Alright, so this year they had the 25th ranked offensive line by Pro Football Focus. 21st ranked offense, 31st ranked defense. Not great. Now, their defense is not bad. The situation is not what those statistics say. I don't know what went on. Maybe somebody got injured throughout the league. Cannot really remember. But their defensive front is fucking strong, and you always kind of in the last few years got to watch out for that sneaky defense that can turn shit around on you, unless you're running the ball. They need to learn to stop the run. That's probably why this was the 31st ranked offense. Everybody ran a fucking train on them. Let's go over their recent draft picks. So in 2023, they picked up a defensive line, Marzi Smith, in round 1. And in 2024, their first round pick was offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. What did they need in the 2025 draft? Well, their 12th overall pick, and their biggest needs are a running back, because I think they may have let Buddy go. They got rid of Tony Pollard before the season. Ezekiel Elliott, I think they released towards the end of the season because he didn't want to be there. So they do need a running back. They need an offensive guard. They need defensive tackle. They need cornerback. They need linebacker. This shows me that they need to shore up their defense quite a bit, and you don't really have money to spend on an offense, so you are in a bit of bind. You are hoping you hit with your draft picks. I couldn't see what they've got in the future of the draft. I'm talking past round 1, so who knows how many picks they could have. But yeah, it looks like they need a hit. Let's go to the ownership really quickly. I can't skip that. Ownership. So since 1989, Jerry Jones has been the Cowboys owner. He has gone through 9 head coaches. He is on his 9th right now. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, a 3-time NFC Conference champion, a 12 times NFC East champion in that span. And in the past 5 seasons, he's only had Mike McCarthy. He gave Mike McCarthy 5 good seasons to try and turn this thing around. Unfortunately, shit just didn't go as planned. Packers destroyed them in the playoffs in 2023, and then Dak got injured this season. Before that, they were fucking humming. So just unfortunate circumstances for Mike McCarthy's tenure there. Not unfortunate for Jerry Jones. But let me just bring this graphic back up. Do I think this is a good situation? Is this a good place? Is this a good job? Is this a good job? I don't think it's a great job. I really don't think it's a good job, especially for somebody that hasn't had head coaching experience. They are in an environment which I heard can be quite zoo-like. Players training in the gym, you just got random people on tours looking at them, taking photos and stuff like that can really impede the mindset of a competitive team, when it kind of feels like an amusement park rather than a training facility. Again, you are under cap, so you don't have money to fucking just throw around willy-nilly to try and improve the team, so they're going to have to do something offensively to try and speed things up. Dak Prescott should be back next year. Hopefully nothing goes awry with him. Hopefully their offensive tackle round pick this year steps into the starting role, because I can see on the depth chart right now he's the second string left tackle, so hopefully he can step up into that role and become a force. Yeah, I don't particularly think this is a good job. I think you need to be a very seasoned coach to take on this job in that situation and in that environment with that particular owner slash GM. My thoughts are it's not a great job. My thoughts are that the team will probably have quite an average year, and Brian Schottenheimer might be shopped very quickly by Jerry Jones. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about that one. Next up, we want to talk about the head coaching change in Las Vegas. So I'm going to get my graphics all set up very, very quickly while we get into this. So Raiders head coach, like I said, the offensive coordinator, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, and he will be joining former Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll. Let's fucking go. This is I like this hire. I think this is a very good hire. You go into a team that one needs a quarterback, and two is kind of poised to have a strong attitude. Your defense has a bit of a roster, I gotta say. But let's get through this anyway. Let's go through all the details first. Excuse me. So, Pete Carroll, he has been a coach, as you can see, since 1973. This dude's been coaching for that fucking long. Steve graduate assistant. I do believe I skipped a lot of it. I wasn't gonna mention everything down there because that would be ridiculous. But yeah, he was DB coach for the Bills, DB coach for the Vikings, Jets DC, Jets head coach, Pat's head coach, USC head coach, and then he was obviously with the Seattle Seahawks as a head coach for 13 years. And he was a one-time Super Bowl champion. Could have been a two-time Super Bowl champion if he just gave the ball to beast mode. But what are you going to do? Shit happens. As an executive of football, he was the VP of football ops for the majority of his tenure with the Seattle Seahawks. And then this year, after he was vacated from the position of head coach, he was a senior advisor with the team. I do like this coaching. I do like this coaching hire right here. Pete Carroll is the man. I do believe it makes him the oldest head coach to ever coach or be hired or something like that. So he's surprisingly spry. Yeah, if he's older than Jim Harbaugh, holy shit. All right, so let's talk about the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders situation. Raiders GM John Spytek right there. Look at that man. I think he is a brand new hire. So let me get John Spytek's history up. What does he have to work with? He's got $92 million in cap space. That's right. That's right. As an executive, he was an operations intern starting in 2004 with the Detroit Lions. Then he was an intern with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then he became a college scouting assistant. My bad. Then a pro scout, director of college coaching for the Browns. He was a scout for a lot of his time, director of players personnel, and then moved on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he was the assistant general manager for the last 2 seasons. Now, obviously, he is the GM for the Raiders. So pretty good. You probably played a hand in the Tom Brady hiring for Tampa Bay as well, and full circle things come around. Tom Brady is in the ownership group of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he will be having a say in a lot of what goes on. So yeah, nice little tie there from Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, and then giving him the favor and hiring that man right back, as he obviously knows talent was their quarterback situation. So they do have Gardner Minshew signed for 2 years last season and this upcoming one. I don't think Minch is your guy. He is a good stand-in, but I don't think he's your I don't think he's your franchise quarterback, so to speak. They had the 20th ranked defensive line, the 29th ranked offense, and the 26th ranked defense. Now, that aside, let's talk about those statistics really quickly. So with the offense, Minshew was injured for the majority of the season, and Aiden O'Connell is obviously not their guy. These guys did miss out on, I think it was Will Levis. Probably a good thing for them. And they got to pick up Brock Bowers, so I think everything is probably going to turn out all right for Las Vegas Raiders, and I think they can probably... no, it was Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder. Yeah, so I think they're probably pretty happy about that. Now, moving forward, in the 2023 draft, they picked up linebacker Tyree Wilson, and then obviously last year they picked up a tight end Brock Bowers, who broke the rookie record for I think it was receptions and yardage. But yeah, Brock Bowers already in the book, going to be a sturdy weapon for anybody that they decide to roll with. They do have the 6th overall pick in this year's draft, and as you can see, they need a quarterback, they need a wide receiver, they need a running back, they need a cornerback, and they need a defensive tackle. So it looks like they are needing an offensively heavy squad to try and compete. $92 million cap space is a good place, and unfortunately they don't have the Devontae Adams anymore. Do they have dead cap space? Do they have dead cap space with Devontae? They do. $15 million. They've also got $12 million in dead cap from Jimmy Garoppolo, but nonetheless, they have $92 million to spend. Now let's go talk about their ownership. All right, so Raiders owner Mark Davis, been the owner since 2011. Now, I do believe Tom Brady is in the ownership group, so he is going to help steer this ship in the right direction. This guy right here has 0 Super Bowl appearances since 2011. He has 0 conference championship appearances since 2011. He has 0 AFC West championships since 2011. He's been to the playoffs twice, and he is in his 9th head coach over that 13-year span. He had John Gruden from in the past 5 seasons. He had John Gruden, he had Rich Bisaccia, he had Josh McDaniels, and he had Antonio Pierce. And now, I do believe he has hit the jackpot with Pete Carroll being available and Tom Brady stepping in to help out. I do believe this is a good situation to be in. You have a team that is very hungry to win. You got killers on that team like Max Crosby. They want to win. They want to win now. And they can win now. We've seen how they performed with Antonio as the interim head coach last season. Was don't really know what to say about it. But they can do this. They definitely can. This is a good situation to step into. It's a great hire. I'm a big fan of this one. If I was a Raiders fan, I'd be quite hyped. Now, all they need to really do is try to move themselves up in the draft from that 6th overall pick and try to get, a good quarterback. Maybe Shooter Sanders. I don't know. I don't really know the college quarterbacks that well. Maybe you want that Ohio guy who just won the National Football College Championships. I don't know. But yeah, I do like this situation. I do like the hire. I think this is perfect. Perfection. Almost as good as the Mike Vrabel hire. Who are we talking about next? Next, we're probably going to go to New York. We're going to talk about the Jets. So, the Jets recently, as you guys know, had a man that was hired, Robert Saleh. He was going to be the guy. Something went wrong. I don't know. It's New York. Turned out to not be their guy. So who'd they hire? They hired this man, Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions for the last 3 seasons. As an administrator, he started out with the Houston Stallions as their GM, and then he went to New York Jets personnel. He was a personnel scout for 2 years. Then he moved on to the coaching side of ball, became the assistant DB coach 2014 for the Browns, moved on as the Saints DB coach, took the complete role, and he was there for 4 seasons. And then he became the New York Lions defensive coordinator from 2021 to 2024. In 2023, these guys had the top 5 defense. In 2023, they had the first ranked third down defense in the league. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler as a player as well, so he can relate to the guys. One thing to note, Lions may not have been the greatest team on defense this season. Having said that, they just kept on losing defensive players to injury after injury after injury after injury. It was ridiculous. And he still was able to find ways to bring pressure, to turn over the ball in critical moments. This guy's a good defensive coordinator. He knows what he's doing. Let's go over to the situation of the team, though. I mean, this is the Jets. I want to bring up Darren Mooney very quickly. What do we know about this guy? Jesus. Don't look up Darren Mooney. Just like that. I'm not really getting his wiki page. Very good. Oh, it's Moogie. That's why. There he is. Darren Moogie. I think he just got signed. Yes, he did. This is his first season as Jets GM. There he is. Let's talk about his history. Alright, he was a player with the Atlanta Falcons and then the Arizona Cardinals. He was an off-season player or a practice squad only member. Not sure what he played. It was quarterback. And as a staff member in 2012, he became a scouting intern with the Denver Broncos. He was with them until this hire, actually. So he moved up from scouting intern to higher levels of scouting into director of player personnel, and then for the last 3 seasons assistant general manager. Now he is the general manager for the Jets in his first year with a brand new head coach. He was part of a Super Bowl 50 championship with the Denver Broncos as well, so that's something to keep an eye out for. So the state of the team, you've got $20 million in cap space for the season. You've got Aaron Rodgers signed for 1 more year. And Aaron Rodgers has stated that he is willing to teach a guy how to play the fucking game of football. They have the 13th ranked offensive line. They have the 23rd ranked offense and the 20th ranked defense. Now, a little bit about this. One thing about the defense, I don't know why it's ranked 20th, because they had the 4th ranked passing defense and the 17th ranked rushing defense this season by Pro Football Reference. So I'm not sure why they've been ranked at 20th. Don't know, it could be the win-loss record. I don't think they should factor into it. But yeah, just keep that in mind. 4th ranked passing defense and 17th ranked rushing defense, which is much better than 20th overall ranked defense. So it doesn't look quite what it is there. And you've got that defensive coach coming in to do some shit about it as well. Let's look at their last 2 drafts. So they drafted defensive end Will McDonald the 4th in the 2023 draft, and in 2024 they drafted offensive line Olu Fashanu. Pretty good. You got to try and protect that quarterback. In this draft, they have the 7th overall pick. They do need a quarterback for the future. They need a defensive tackle. They need an offensive tackle. They need a safety, and they need a cornerback. I think what they need to do is work on protecting I think they just need to shore up their offense. Honestly, I think they need to just make a very strong offensive line that can help Breece Hall have an extremely good run game. They've got weapons in terms of Garrett Wilson. He is going to be an absolute monster if they get him a great quarterback. Not a bad situation when you look at it on paper. Okay, when you look at it on paper, let's go to the ownership. Okay, so Woody Johnson, he has been the owner of the Jets since 2000. He has had 0 Super Bowl appearances. He has had 2 conference championship appearances. Never been the NFC East champion. He has 6 playoff appearances, and he is going through his 9th head coach. He also owns a team. I don't think the Jets and the Giants are cursed per se. I think MetLife Stadium is cursed. I think that's where all the bad juju comes from. We're going to get into that in a future video, but just keep that in mind. I'm not sure if it's an ownership thing or just the fucking building. You don't really have a home that's just yours. You're sharing a facility. In the last 5 seasons, they've gone through Adam Gase, Robert Saleh, and then Jeff Ulbrich was the interim head coach for this season. There has been spillings about Brick Johnson, Woody Johnson's teenage son, ranking signings by fucking Madden ratings and taking game balls and stuff. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not. Something's not right with the franchise. And I don't know what's going to fix it, but this is, I do believe, a step in the right direction. Do I like the job? It's the Jets, so I don't like the job. But if we take the team away, if we take away the Jets and just look at it on paper, and 20 million, I think you do have a good situation. I think you do have a good situation, regardless of the fact that, it's the Jets and you're kind of cursed. But, you've got a good core. You've got a good receiving set of players. You've still got Devontae Adams. You're a defensive coach that can bring the heat. I think it's a good hire. Not 100% sure if it's a good situation because I don't know the full story with the head office and everything behind the scenes. But it's on paper, it's a good situation. On paper, it's a good situation. And on paper, it's a good hire. I think in reality, it's also a good hire. Hopefully him and this GM, understand each other, so that'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. The next job that we are going to talk about is down the bottom, Ben Johnson being hired to the Bears. Yes, we will talk about these Saints, but we will be talking about them very last, since the head coaching role has not been filled quite yet. So, boom, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions this year and the last couple of seasons, is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Mike McCarthy did not get to apply for this role, thanks to Jerry Jones, but aside from that, let's talk about this one. So Ben Johnson, head coach. Miami Dolphins offensive assistant was his start in 2012, was with the Dolphins until 2018, where he spent times with the QBs, the tight ends, and the receivers. Then he moved over to the offensive quality control in 2019 with the Detroit Lions, became tight end coach, pass game coordinator, and then he was the offensive coordinator, as you can see right there. Now, in 2022, they were a top 5 scoring offense. In 2023, they were a top 5 scoring offense. And in 2024, this season, they were the number 1 scoring offense. They had the number 2 total yardage on offense for the regular season under Ben Johnson. Probably a very good hire. I've got to say, probably a very good hire. Let's move on to the GM situation. Ryan Poles, do you believe he is doing a good job there? Right now with the Bears, they've got $64 million in cap space. They have the 24th ranked offensive line, 28th ranked offense, and the 13th ranked defense. Let's talk about that 28th ranked offense. They really need to fix up that offensive line. I do believe Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback in the league for the regular season. So if your quarterback's taking the most sacks in the league, you're probably not going to have a very high ranked offense unless your name's Joe Burrows and you've got somebody like, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase with you. But that aside, Chicago can hang with the boys. Part of the NFC North, 3 teams had insane records. The last game of the season between Detroit and the Vikings, that was the highest win combined ranked game ever in NFL history for the regular season. I think both teams had, maybe 13 wins each at least. So it was crazy. Green Bay, we got up over 10 wins as well. All three teams went to the playoffs. There was around week 5 when, if everything continued to go as it was, the whole NFC North was going to the playoffs. But unfortunately, something happened with the Chicago Bears and they had a major drop-off within the second quarter of the season. Again, with that being said, almost every divisional game that the Bears played against the Packers, the Rams, and the Vikings, 3 very good teams, they held their own and they almost fucking won. I do believe they almost beat Detroit, but they had a blocked field goal at the end of the game and that would have sealed them the win. I think they beat the Packers at the end of the season when nothing really mattered in terms of seeding for the Packers. But they can hang. They've got a roster. They've got some young lads. They got Caleb Williams. They got Rome Odunze from the 2024 draft last year. And then in 2023, they drafted defensive line Darnell Wright. So they do have a good young core there to set them up for success with this offensive coach who seems to be just a goddamn machine. And in this year's draft, they do have the 10th overall pick. They do need an offensive guard, a center, an offensive tackle. They need to fix up that offensive line. Obviously, if your quarterback is the highest sacked quarterback in the league, you're going to have to fix that up. They also need an edge and somebody to go with Rome Odunze. Now, they do have money. $64 million is a good spot. Let's go over to their ownership very quickly. So, their owner is actually Virginia Halas McCaskey, and she's been the owner since 1983. But I've put up the chairman, George McCaskey here, her brother, because I do believe he kind of handles football operations and speaks to the media more so than Virginia does. So that's why we can see the Bears chairman, George McCaskey, up on the screen right there. Since 2011, they've had 0 Super Bowl appearances, 0 conference championship appearances. They've won the North once, which is not an easy thing to do. And they've had 2 playoff appearances. They are on their 7th head coach in this tenure. And in the past 5 seasons, they had Matt Nagy. He was a very good coach for them. Matt Eberflus didn't seem to turn out. And then Thomas Brown was the interim head coach for this season. And he had quite a jump up. I believe he was like quarterback coach, then offensive coordinator, and then head coach all within the one season. So smart thing for them to not keep him as the head coach. Let's talk about the situation. I like the situation. I like it a lot. You've got a good competitive squad. You're in a city that absolutely loves football. You've got money to spend. You've got a pretty high draft pick in terms of being in the first third of the draft. So you can kind of get what you want, or at least something very good. I think it's a good situation. I really do. And this head coach, I kind of absolutely love this. I really do like this one. This guy's been with quarterbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers. And look at those stats from 22 to 24 when he was the offensive coordinator. Good things coming to Chicago. I think this is a good situation. I think it's a good hire. I think Chicago Bears fans should be very, very happy about this one. And if you are in the North, you should start getting worried, because it is going to be a extremely competitive division. Now let's go to one little bit of news I do want to talk about very quickly, and I'm going to switch back to the quick news very quickly. Now, it does look like I saw an article before I started the show today saying that Danny Dimes might be the Vikings step in. Looks like the Vikings will be shopping Sam Darnold after his amazing season with the Vikings, taking them to the playoffs with an insane number of wins. Just fucking sick overall. And we do get to see Danny Dimes with Kevin O'Connell and a good offensive roster. I mean, Giants had a good offensive roster, but with a coach that knows what he's doing, with a defense that can hold them up, just a better organization than one that exists in MetLife Stadium. Let's go, Danny Dimes. I'm pumped to see what he can do. See if they sit JJ McCarthy after his ACL test. See if they just get him straight up and running. He did win the job against Sam Darnold before he did get the injury. So, we'll see if he can beat out Danny Dimes post-injury. But I would love to see Danny Dimes have some great success with Minnesota. Even though I don't like to see Minnesota have great success because I am a Packers fan. But still, enough of that shrewd bullshit. Back to the coaching news. The final job that we are going to talk about is the Saints head coaching job. Now, it is still open. A little bit of news about this job. Cliff Kingsbury and Mike McCarthy both have taken themselves out of the race. They don't want this job. And this job still has yet to be filled. So let's talk about the situation over there. All right, now in New Orleans, the home of this year's Super Bowl. So, Saints GM is Mickey Loomis. They are currently $54 million over cap. Now that's fucked up. That's not a good situation. Let me go and see New Orleans Saints. How long do they have Derek Carr? It looks like they got Derek Carr for quite a bit. Derek Carr contract. Boom. He did get injured this season, so this 24th ranked offense is actually not too shabby, considering that Hayner and Riddler did not do very good this season when they were in the role. Looks like they do have him until 2026. He's on a 4-year deal, 2023 to 2026. I don't know why I didn't put that down there. I should have put that down there, but he is still with the team for another 2 seasons. They had the 22nd ranked O-line. Thank you again for the flub right there, our graphics department. I'm gonna have to beat some heads after the show today. Get those guys straight for our next video, our next show. So they did have the 22nd ranked offense by Pro Football Focus. They had the 24th ranked offense. Again, Derek Carr was injured for a lot of the season, and their backups were not very good. They had the 19th ranked defense, which is kind of nice. But obviously, they need to improve that. In 2023, they drafted defensive tackle Brian Breesy, and in 2024, they try to help out their offensive line by drafting offensive tackle Talezi Guaga. I don't know how to say that. And then this season, the 2025 draft, they have the 9th overall pick. It says they need an edge, a wide receiver, a cornerback, a safety, and a tight end. Now, just remember, these guys do have Bub Means. All right? These guys do have Taysom Hill. These guys do have Alvin Kamara. These guys do have Chris Olave. And that's just on the offensive side of the ball. All right? This team can win. This offense can win. $50 million in over the cap, though. That's a tight squeeze. I do believe these guys have been kicking a can down a road for quite a while, and now they are in the shit. So we'll see what they do. Hopefully, they don't shop Alvin Kamara, because he is a massive piece of their offense. Just looking at the numbers, though, $54 million is quite a bit. Derek Carr's cap number for the 2025 season is $51 million. Yikes. And then right under him, we've got Cameron Jordan at $20 million. So you're going to have some names, some stars. You're going to have to do some reworks, I think. This is a very rough situation. Let's go over to the ownership, though. So this is the owner, Gail Benson. She's been the owner since 2018. She has 0 Super Bowl appearances. She has 1 NFC Conference Championship appearance. She's got 3 NFC South champions under her belt. She's got 3 playoff appearances, and she is only on her 3rd head coach. Now, she was graced with the mind of Sean Payton. In 2006 all the way to 2021, excluding the 2012 season where he was not allowed to coach. I do believe he got suspended for knowing about a player bounty situation in which players were being paid to try and injure other players. But that's old news. Then they had Dennis Allen from 2022 to 2024, and then the special teams coach Darren Rizzi stepped in as the interim head coach, and a lot of the players are kind of wanting him to be the head coach, but I think maybe Kellen Moore is the front runner right now for the job. Hopefully he doesn't get himself into a bad situation with the $54 million cap being over. But yeah, she's only been on 3 head coaches. She knows what a winning team kind of looks like under Sean Payton. Hasn't won a Super Bowl, so she wasn't there when Drew Brees was the man. But I think she maybe got the team from her husband, so at least she understands what a winning team looks like. Don't quote me on that. Maybe she inherited it from her dad. I don't know. But she also owns the Pelicans. So this lady, she knows sports. She knows sports business. Let's go back to the situation. $50 million over the cap. You've got a 24th ranked offense when your quarterback is injured for the majority of the season. You've got the 9th overall pick. And you've got a pretty fucking good roster. Now, if everything can get worked out contract-wise, you might need to give some names up. Here. Don't know who you get rid of, though. I really don't know. Taysom Hill is taking up quite a chunk of cap space, so he might not be with the team. You wouldn't get rid of Alvin Kamara when you're only paying him $10 million for the season. You know, Cameron Jordan's on 20, but he's a staple for your team, so you can't really get rid of him. I would say Taysom Hill is probably the number 1 target to get shopped this off-season, taking up $17 million in cap space. Yeah, don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I don't think this is a good situation. I think it's probably a good situation for Kellen Moore to get his name as a head coach, because if he can get this team, maybe rework the defensive contracts, you do want to keep the offense as it is. You could probably do without your Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill. I think he could do some very good things with the offense here. I, again, don't think this is a good situation to walk into. You do have a good roster, but that roster is going to change with this cap situation. And you do have the 9th overall pick. Yeah, I do see Taysom Hill being shopped this season. To be honest, just looking at these cap numbers, he is the third highest cap number on this spreadsheet from overthecap.com at 17 million. I kind of don't like this situation. I kind of don't like it. If Mike McCarthy and Cliff Kingsbury both remove themselves from the situation, it's probably not a good situation. Final call. I think Kellen Moore should probably stay with the Eagles. Just contradicting myself there, and returning to a previous thought I had earlier in the day. I mean, if you go into the Super Bowl, you know, you now have Saquon Barkley. Just stick it out. Stick it out. Get to the Super Bowl again next year if you can. And then there might be a more desirable job open up, and you're still going to be probably number one on the list to take that job. Even if Cliff Kingsbury, Mike McCarthy, and who the hell knows is going to be available for those. You have you've got a resume that absolutely slaps if you're Kellen Moore. I think the team should probably go with what the players want and hire Darren Rizzi as the head coach. This guy did help, write up and promote the current dynamic kickoff. And if he didn't do that, they were probably going to remove kickoff. So this dude's got a fucking mind that knows what it's looking for. I do think they should keep Darren Rizzi as the head coach. I don't think it's a good situation for anyone outside of the building to come into. And those are my final thoughts. Those are my absolute finally thoughts on this whole head coaching situation. That was a long one, guys. That was a long one. We got to do what we wanted to do, and we got to talk about this head coaching news. Hopefully all of these teams do have an uptick. We don't like to see anybody fail, truly. Unless it's the Jets. But yeah, I think we've got some good situations. I think we've got some exciting hires. I think we've got some good fits. We'll see what happens in the combine. We'll see what happens in the Super Bowl first up. That's going to be Chiefs versus the Eagles. A little bit more quick news as well. I do believe Melbourne will be getting at least Victoria will be getting the first regular season NFL game for Australia. And I think it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the LA Rams from what I saw. This is fresh news. Fresh news within the last day at least, so that's interesting if you're from my time zone. I probably won't get to go to the game, unfortunately. It's probably going to be quite pricey. Anyways, the next show should be a Super Bowl preview, my thoughts on what's going to happen, my thoughts on who could win, all of that stuff, and probably some other news. We're going to try and keep it a bit more current. But it was great. It was a great show. I do appreciate you guys. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help out. We're trying to get our show out there into the world. And we are also looking at changing the whole channel thing from BIP AU. We're going to be something media. Don't know what it is. Hey, it might end up being something media. Kind of like that. Anyway, guys, that was head coaching news. That was a little bit of quick news and the situations. So we're going to sign out now. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate others, guys. Be a great human and have an even greater time. Until next time, guys. Peace out.